Here is the login page. We have the username and the password, and here you can see the title of the web page says web access HMI SCADA software. The first thing you can try is for the default passwords. So you can search for web access HMI default password, and you can see we have Advantech web access. So the company was Advantech, and here you can see the default credentials. So let's try few of these credentials. Advantech admin. So let's copy this, and you can see we have successfully logged in as Advantech. So the first thing you can remember during the pen test or bug bounty is to try the default credentials like this according to the software related. Also, I'm going to show you one website, CIRT. So if you go to the CIRT.net, here you can search for like software versions like Cisco. So you get all the Cisco routers default credentials. You can also search for TP-Link. So there are no matches. Let's try for Advantech. So there are no matches, and you can also try for other router softwares. So here we have the login page, username and the password. So let's type here admin, and it says invalid credentials. So this is generally normal login page. In order to brute force the credentials, we should get to know at what name of the tag it is being sent. So press Ctrl U to get the source code. So here you can see this is the form, and the name is equals to user ID. So whatever you enter here in the username field, it is being sent as a parameter with the value user ID, name user ID, and the value that you enter, and also password as the passwd. So sometimes these names are not exactly when you send, because there will be some JavaScript code that will change the name when you send the request. So that's why what you want to do is you need to intercept the request using the burp. So let's go to proxy and make sure that intercept is on. Now type normally admin and admin. Now click on submit, and here you can see the request that is about to send. So send it to repeater, and you can just uncheck this intercept off. So let's go to repeater and see the request. So this is the post type of request, and the post to /question1. So these credentials are being sent to /question1, and also user ID is equals to admin, and password is equals to admin, and submit is equals to submit. So we can use multiple tools to brute force this login page. So the first tool we are going to use is Hydra. We can also I will show you burp suit after this. Hydra -L. So let's just say admin. So if you want to use multiple usernames, you can say -L and usernames.txt. Okay, and P. So you can use the rocky.txt. So this is very famous password word list. And now we need to submit the IP address. So the host IP address, copy this and paste here. You can see the port the web server is running on is 31142. You need to add the -s option 31142, so that Hydra will send the packets to this 31142, and then you need to specify HTTP post form or get form. So here you can see the post request, so that's why we need to put the HTTP post form, and here we need to specify 3 parameters like 3 arguments separated by colon. So the first one is the page you going to send, that is /question1. So /question1 colon and the data you going to send. So this is my data of this request. So copy this, so keep it like this. Now you need to change some fields you want to brute force. For password you can say cap pass cap. So what this means is, for every request Hydra will identify this field as a password field, and for each request it will take one word from the rocky.txt and it will put in this placeholder place and send the request. In the same way you can also say user cap user cap. So Hydra will identify this place as a username field and it will take each word from usernames.txt, and upon every request it will place here and send the request. So this is the data we going to actually send. And the colon, so the next one is true or false. So it's like, so whatever you got in the result, that is invalid credentials. So Hydra after sending the request will look for this message. So if there is invalid credentials, so that means this combination of username and the password from this word list have been failed. If there is no invalid credentials in the response page, so that means this combination of username and the password is correct. By that way Hydra will recognize the correct username and the password. So you can hit enter, but we have the rate limiting, so we will be seeing in the next video. So for now I am just quitting this. So this is the syntax: Hydra -l for usernames.txt and p passwords.txt and the IP address, and if the port is not 80 you need to specify with the -s option, and then you need to specify HTTP post form or get form. And then the first one is where you going to send to data, and the actual data with the placeholders of username and the password, and the error message you are going to get if there is wrong. So Hydra will recognize the response with no message and tells us that the combination of that username and the password is correct one. So this is how you brute force using Hydra. So the next way is using burp suite itself. So right click on this request and click on send to intruder. In this intruder go to positions tab, so clear all positions. So this is our actual request. I want to brute force password field. Okay, let's say admin user is already present and I need to brute force the password result. So you can specify the password field and click on add dollar symbol. So it's like a placeholder, let's just call it as a dollar. So here you can see the admin text has been changed to some green color highlight. So you can also choose multiple attack types: sniper and battleground, pitchfork, cluster bomb. So you can use cluster bomb for if you have some more than one field you want to brute force. So for now click on payloads and you can see payload set has been set to 1. So here whatever you type here, let's say test 2 etc. So those will be replaced in each and every request. So what you can do is you can copy the rocky.txt whole content and paste it in here. But I don't recommend burp suite for brute forcing because it takes a lot of time, because it's community edition. For professional edition it is multi-threaded and it's very fast than community edition. The community edition is only single threaded and it takes very lot of time. So if you just generally start the attack, so you can see the default payload is the 0 and it will send the test, and blank payload I think I have hit enter at that. So you can see the response here. We have the invalid credentials. So you can see these are the test and test2 payloads that we have sent. So this is how you use the burp suite intruder for brute forcing. So next tool is using wfuzz. So we can use wfuzz. The syntax is similar to GoBuster, also similar to Hydra. -u, you need to specify the URL. So this is my URL and paste it here, and you need to specify the data. So this is my actual data. So copy this and put this in the quotations. So the place where you want to brute force, you need to put this as fuzz. And the word list, you need to choose like rocky.txt. So this will do fine. If you want to change this first to something else, you need to specify that name here. If I want to change this to first to, so I need to specify this first to. So all these words in the rocky.txt will be placed in the passwd field for each request. So I'm not going to fuzz this, it's gonna get rate limited. So okay, that is the syntax. And after getting the results, you can say -hs. So actually I will show you wfuzz help page, and here you can filter the responses. So the first one is hide code length words size. Okay, I think this is related. Let's, so based on the status code, based on the lines, word, etc. So you can hide the responses using this one. So okay, last one is for characters, number of characters, and you can show the responses with only some specified code. So you can say show with the code 200, show with the code 404, etc. And you can also apply the normal regular expressions. So what you can simply say is hide the responses with the content invalid credentials. So that should do fine. So that is about this wfuzz tool. And we can also brute force with Python. So let's say default brute force.py. So we need to use the request module. So this module will be helpful for sending requests and getting the responses. Let's say URL variable and copy this one. So this is my URL. We need to construct the data because we are going to send it in the body of the request. So copy this and put a comment and put the data here. So we need to specify one dictionary, and in that we need to separate these as a normal variables. Okay, like key value pairs. First one is user ID colon the value admin. So this is the first one, we have put it as a key value pair, and the second one is passwd. And here we can put the admin. We can change this later, I will show you. And the next one is submit colon submit. So this is the data. So now what you can simply do is request.post of URL comma data is equals to data. So you can also change this variable name data to. If you see these two are confusing, now we get the r.text. So we get the response. You can print out the response. So you can Python 3 default brute force, and it says invalid credentials. So you can filter according to the response, like if invalid credentials in r dot text. So this entire response will be treated as a single string, and we are searching for invalid credentials. If the invalid credentials is in the response, then what we can say is login failed. So let's comment out this. So if you run this and it says login failed, so what you can do is you can put the not operator, and we did not get any value because we are not. So in this video we will be seeing how to bypass the rate limit. So first I will explain what is rate limiting. So whenever you send multiple requests to the web server from the same IP address, then the web server thinks that you are DOSing the server, and it will stop the request from you. So you will get blocked for certain amount of time. So that is called rate limiting. In this we will be seeing how to bypass this rate limit also. We have the login page, username and the password. Type admin, and let's capture this. Let's first try to submit this, and it says invalid credentials. So first let's capture this in burp. So now click on submit, and you should see the request here. Now right click on this, send to intruder. So we will be brute forcing this password. So we will be sending like 10 or 20 packets, and then we should get blocked by the web server. So let's clear all the positions and add this password field as one position. So click on this add dollar or add marker, and payloads. I'm just typing some random alphabets or numbers to increase the request count. So now we have like 17 payloads, and click on start attack, and you can see the first request is length is 2094, and after like 4 requests we got some special length 2135. So let's see the response, and if you can see, scroll down, and too many login failures, please wait 39 seconds before retry. So let's go to here, and please wait 28 seconds before retry. So we cannot perform brute force attack because we are getting blocked by the web server. Generally, if you see the request here, our IP address will be noted by the web server and gets blocked. Okay, so one way to change the origin is using the header called x forwarded for. So let's refresh this, and it will ask for the send the credentials again, resend, and here you can see it still says invalid credentials. So let's type admin again, and now let's capture this request. Can submit, and here we will add one header called x forwarded for. So this header is used to identify the source of the origin of the HTTP request. So what we can do is we can specify the IP localhost IP address. So this means the web server, on seeing this x forwarded for, looks at this IP address 127.0.0.1. So that means the computer itself is asking from another port. It will think like that, and it will not block our request anymore. So if you can send to repeater and intercept, so it says invalid credentials. So here you can send this to repeater intruder, or you can copy this one line and go to our previous payload of this in intruder and paste it here. Now if you can see the payloads, there are 17 payloads, and start attack. Now we should not get blocked by the web server, and you can see 2094. So we still getting blocked by the web server. Okay, I think it's the next one. Let's go to question 2. Okay, so sorry for this. So admin. So there is no protection like IP address based filtering in the question 1. That's why I'm going to question 2. So let's make sure intercept is on, submit, and send this to intruder. I think it's just changing the question 2, but anyway, it's clear our positions, add the position, and also add this header 127.0.0.1 x forwarded for, and add some payloads. So I think these 10 payloads should do fine. So let's start attack. And here you can see 1539 content length, and the content length is same among all the requests. So if you see the response, great work. So we got the flag. Okay, you don't get blocked anymore if you see the last request, and you can still see the flag. So you are not getting blocked by the web server. So this is one of the way to bypass this rate limiting using the X forwarded for. So this will work if the web server was configured to block the IP address based rate limiting. So you can also do this via curl also. So curl and type of the request is post, and this is the URL, and we need to modify the user agent, one of the header, right? We need to specify capital H, and the header you need to specify is X forwarded for, and the localhost IP address, and then you need to normally send the data. So you can just copy this data, so remove that markers. So this is the URL, and we are doing the post request, and with the header X forwarded for localhost data. So if we hit enter, and you can see we should get the flag. We can also do with the Python. So I want to show you how to do in the Python, because we need to change the headers, right? So that's why request copy the URL. Let's say URL variable that holds the URL value, and we can specify data. So this is the dictionary, and we are going to specify this data. So let's put this in the comments so that you can write all these at a time. User ID, admin, comma, password is also admin, and submit, colon, submit. So this is our data field. Now you can say headers. In the same way, you can add multiple line headers in the same way as in the data. Put the localhost. This is the source, origin source, and now I think everything is ready. R is equals to request dot post of, and post to URL, and specify the data as data. If you are getting confused, you can say data 2 and headers 2. Now data is equals to data 2 and headers is equals to headers 2. Now the request should be sent, and we can print the r.text. So let's run this, and you can see we got the same response. So my intention to show you in Python is how to add the headers, or how to modify the headers in the request field. In this video, we will be trying to brute force the usernames. So let's try first admin and admin as a default credentials. So let's try to login. So it says invalid username. So this is some kind of good notification for anyone want to enumerate the users. If you submit the wrong credentials, the web server should say invalid login or login failed, but instead it says invalid username. So that means what we can know from this message is the password maybe or something. So it's first validating the username, and the web server failed to validate username. It is sending this message invalid username. So I can say text69 and it says invalid username. So by this message, an attacker can put the same password and multiple usernames to brute force for the usernames. So let's type admin and let's capture this request and the burp suit, intercept on and click on submit. So send this to repeater and send this also to intruder. So clear all markers. Now I'm going to use a word list called top usernames shortlist.txt. So you can Google for seclist GitHub repository. In that you will find many word list for the usernames and passwords and default ones, etc. So we can just copy this one, and now let's go to burp suit and add the username marker, add this, and at the payloads click on paste. Now simply start the attack and click on OK. So the default length is 2291. And for the puppet user we got the different response length. So let's go and see the response. Invalid password for the user puppet. So there is a puppet user and you can put the puppet username fixed and you can iterate over the password list. So this typical behavior is still shown in the WordPress websites. If you have a look at the WordPress admin login page, if you type normal admin, it says invalid username like that. So this is one of the bad message. So the username and the password both should validate at the same time, and it should send the message like login failed. It's like a general error, not to specify whether it's invalid username or the invalid password. So we can also use the Python for brute forcing. So let's go to repeater, and I think this is using just in the get request. You can see in the URL there are parameters. So what we can do is let's import request URL, so put the full URL here, and what we need to brute force is this one, admin1. So put the placeholder there. Now what we need to do is we need to read the file, that is top usernames shortlist.txt. So let's say file descriptor is equals to open this file and open in the read mode. So I can say word list is equals to fd.read. Okay, so if I just print the word list, and also I need to close the file. So let's go and run this. So we get all the users, but it will be printing like a single variable. I don't want that. So what I want to do is I want to split this on the based on the new line. So the root, there is a username and /n. So /n is the new line, and based on this new line this list can be split into the single words. So let's go and say usernames is equals to list of, and what you need to do, word list dot split. So you need to split based on the new line, that is selection. Now if I go and print the usernames, now let's run this again, and you can see we got the list, and in that list we have the all the usernames. So this will be very useful for us, and we can simply put in this placeholder. So we have the usernames, so we need to iterate over the all the usernames for I in usernames. So for every iteration I takes the value first root and then admin and then test etc up to all the elements in the list. So in this URL we need to send in the I. So here username is equals to here, so we can just say dot format of I. So we have the URL ready. All we need to do is we need to send the request dot post of URL. I think that's the one. So there is no data or there are no any extra headers. Post of URL and receive the r.text. So while receiving, what you need to do is you need to filter for the responses that does not contain invalid username. So what you can do is you can just simply copy this, copy, and if invalid username not in r.text, so r.text holds the response of this request, and if there is no invalid username in this response, so that means found user and the username, and we can say dot format of I. So I is the usernames. We are iterating and finding the correct response among it. I think this should do fine. Let's go and run this. And you can see we got the result found user puppet. So the same result we got from the burp suit. So in this video we will be doing the Portsugar labs about the broken authentication. So you can Google search for broken authentication Portsugar labs and you get this web page, and you can go click on this authentication labs. So here you can see these are password based labs. So let's do these labs. First one, user enumeration, where different responses. So they have given usernames and passwords for list, and I have copied them into usernames.txt and passwords.txt. So the one good thing is they use same word list for all the labs. So click on access the lab. So click on my account. Here it should ask you for login. So copy this URL. I am using the Firefox because I have set my proxy in the Firefox. So username, let's try admin, and admin, click on login, and it says invalid username. So this is one of the poor coding for the web server. So the thing is the web server should not reveal whether it's invalid username or the password. If it reveals like invalid username, then the attacker puts the constant password and varying username to brute force the valid usernames. After getting the valid username, then he will put the username field as a constant value, and then varying password he will try to brute force the credentials. So the web server should send a message like login failed or login error. So it should be like generic message instead of specifying the exact error whether it's username or password. So okay, let's grab this in the burp, intercept on. So admin and admin. So click on login. Sorry, admin and admin. I did not choose this proxy. Click on login, and you should see the request. So send this to repeater and send this to intruder. So the username is equals to admin and password is equals to admin, and post request to /login. So click on intercept off and let's go to intruder, and here first what we are going to do is clear all the markers and add the marker to username. So you can say admin123, So we need to put the payloads. So let's copy the usernames and click on paste. Now you can start the attack. So the length is 3290. You can see invalid username contains 8 characters and password contains 8 characters. So the word username and password contain same characters, so we should not depend on the size of the length. So you can close this one. So we will be writing a simple Python script for this. So let's copy this and import request. So we'll be using the request module to send the request and receive the response, and URL is this one. So paste the URL. Now the thing is, we need to extract all these names from this usernames.txt. So you can use open function, file descriptor is equals to open of usernames.txt and open that in the read mode, and you can say word list is equals to fd.read and fd.close. So if you print out this word list, so you can see we get in a single variable. So to iterate over this, what you need to do is you need to convert this single variable into list. Let's say usernames is equals to list of word list dot split. So what I am doing here is I am going to split each and every line. So you can see in this single line we have only one word, that is Akamai. So this is one username. So whenever I tell to split, it will split according to the new line. So I need to specify here /n. This is the new line. Now if I say print of usernames, now we can see we got some nice list containing all of the usernames. So you can see there is an ending empty element because there is a new line at the end of our file. So in the same way, what you can do is you can just copy this one and paste here and simply change the passwords.txt. So let's print the passwords. So you can see we got two lists that containing usernames and the passwords. Now we can easily iterate over this and send the request. So first let's create the data. So this is the data we are going to send in the body of the request. So let's say data 2 is equals to username is equals to admin. So we need to send in the dictionary format like key value pairs. The keys are being the parameter names and the values are being parameter values, and password is admin. So let's write a simple for loop for this for I in usernames. So first we will be finding the valid usernames because it says invalid username. So what you need to do is you need to modify the username for every iteration. So I can just say username is I. So for every element or username in the usernames list, it will be putting the value in this data too. So what I can simply do is r is equals to request.post of URL comma data is equals to data2. So post of URL and the data is specify this data to be sent in the request. Now we will be receiving the response, and what we need to find is if invalid username does not contain in r.text. So this r.text is the response received from the web server, and in that we are going to find the responses which do not contain invalid username. So that's why I have used the if invalid username not in r.text. Now I can say user found. So I can simply say dot format of I. So this I value will be placed here whenever it is going to print this line. So let's revise again. First we have made two lists that contain usernames and the passwords. First we are iterating over the usernames and putting in the username field and sending the data. On receiving the response, we are checking if the invalid username not in the response, then we can say that username is found. So let's run this. And also remember, we have kept the password thing as a constant because for now we are finding the valid usernames. So you can see we got the one valid user alterwind. So let's copy this and put that in our comments. So for now we are going to iterate our passwords because we have found the valid username, that is alterwind. And now you can simply remove the password value and put the I. So we'll be sending alterwind and every password they have given in the password word list. Now what you're going to do is we need to change this one. Let's go first and let's say alterwind and say test password. Just simply type random and click on enter, and it says incorrect password. So the error message is incorrect password not in the order text. So then that means password found for the user is alterwind, j. So what I am doing here is I am putting the two placeholders. Whenever it is going to print this, the alterwind goes into the first placeholder and the j value will go into the I value will go into the second placeholder. So it will be like password found for the user alterwind is the result. So you can just run this one. Okay, it took time and we got the result. So let's copy this and try to log in. And it already says congrats, you have solved the lab because we have already sent the request. Let's try to log in alterwind and paste this, click on login. So we have successfully logged in. So this is about the first lab with the different responses. So the responses are different for username and the password. So let's go to the second lab. So meanwhile we can copy the same code up to here, just extracting the usernames and the passwords into the list. So admin and admin, let's capture this. Let's first try login, and it says invalid username or password. So that means we don't know whether the username is correct or password is correct, or username is wrong or password is wrong. So in this case we need to brute force the two fields at the same time. So capture this, intercept on, click on login and send this to repeater. So copy the URL and let's say URL is, so I have already brute forced this one, and the credentials are Akamai baseball. I think these will change according to the I think these labs are dynamic, so it picks randomly previous exercise we got the in previous we have if I had done the AD is the correct user, but when we have done again when we change launch the labs again, the username has been changed to Arterwin. So that means these are the dynamic labs. So if you try, you may get another result. So don't worry, it will be right result. So let's construct the data to username admin and the password admin. So here what I want to brute force is both the username and the password fields. So what I can do is for I in usernames, and for every username I want to brute force every password. We can just say another loop for j in passwords. So we can also do this with the intruder. Send this to intruder, and we can clear all the markers and put these two markers for the username and the password values. Click on add. Now we need to change this to cluster bomb, I think. Yes, cluster bomb. So cat usernames.txt. So you can copy this and paste here. And for the second payload, we need to choose the passwords.txt. So this burp soup will take so much time. So copy this and paste here. So both the payloads have been set. So let's start this attack. So the default length is 3384. So there is a 3400. Okay, that's because varying username. We are getting so many different responses. Okay, let's keep it like this and let's go to our Python script. So what you need to iterate, the username first and the password next. So I usernames, j passwords. So now we can simply send the request dot post of URL comma data is equals to data2. Okay, now what you need to filter from the response, invalid username or password. If invalid username or password not in r.text, then print credentials found dot format of I comma j. So I think this took me forever for the first time I have run this script. So what we can do is we can also use wfuzz. So wfuzz is also one of the fantastic tool. Okay, it's let's close this one. Copy the URL and the data. So the wfuzz may be faster. So let's say fuzz2 and the username is fuzz1. Okay, at the fuzz1 we will put the worlist usernames.txt, usernames.txt colon fuzz1. So this means these values will go into the usernames place, and we can also specify passwords.txt colon fuzz2. So the usernames goes to username field and these passwords go into this fuzz2. I think this should do fine. So now hit enter. I think syntax is correct. We need to separate the colon and the first two. So let's Google this. F of first two parameters. So we have already got the credentials. Akamai Sunshine. Let's also see where we are getting wrong. Let's say fuzz1 comma fuzz2. So this is taking usernames.txt colon fuzz1 as a single file name. Yeah, we did correct. I think we need to put this HTTP mode cluster bomb. I don't know. So let's try, give it a try. So we can stop this and let's go and try this one. It says already you have solved the lab because we have just sent the correct credentials. And we got successfully logged in. Okay, you can Google about this FUF. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm using wfuzz. Sorry for this, my bad. So what we need to hide is hide the string with invalid username or password. We are getting so many. So let's change this to, I think, FR. Okay, I'm not getting the correct one. Filter according to regular expression. So we missed this -w. I think by now we should get the Akamai and Sunshine. Filter according to the lines 86, 87. So that's about this second lab. Let's do this response timing. So I did not get this answer correctly. So here what the concept is. So first if there is a correct user, you send the credentials like admin and admin, and if there is a admin user in the database, then the web server tries to validate the password. So this password validation takes some time because it will hash the password and it will fetch the another hash from the database and checks the both. If both are same, then only you get the access. So this process will take time. If the password if the username is wrong, so it will obviously does not check for the password. So this small delay in the response will understand us that if the username is valid or not. Here they have given the credentials winner Peter. So let's access this lab. So meanwhile, let's copy all this. Click on my account. So you can see we got the Akamai Sunshine. So you can filter using this redirect. So if you submit the correct credentials, you get the redirect. So you can also filter according to the status code. So admin and admin. So it says invalid username or password. Now what we are going to do is, first we are going to say URL. So this is the actual URL, and so send this to repeater. So copy this message request data. So now let's construct this data to username admin, password admin. Okay, r is equals to request dot post of URL comma. I think there is some sort of filtering. I think the web server blocks our IP address. I think so. Let's first check that. Send this to intruder. Admin and admin, add the place order. Payloads, just enter some payloads to increase the payload count. Now click on start the attack. Here you can see 3291 3344. So it says you have made too many incorrect login attempts, please try again in 30 minutes. So we have got the rate limiting. So I will show you how to bypass the rate limiting. So one way to bypass the rate limiting is using the X forwarded for tag header. So this is like a source of origin. So this tells us the web server that the request is coming from the local host. So it thinks that the same computer is sending the request, and it will not block. So let's start this attack, and 3291 is length and 3344. So this 3344 again we are still getting rate limited. So here you can see incorrect, too many incorrect attempts. So now what you can do is we need to brute force this one also. So you will have 127.0.0.1 to 127.255.255.255. So all these addresses are localhost only, not only this single one. So we will be taking advantage of this one. So first let's say URL comma data 2. Instead of admin, let's say winner, or let's first say admin, and I'm going to use the module called time, import time, and also we'll be using import random. So first what we can do is t1 is equals to time dot performance counter. So this will give you the time from the starting of the script. So let's say up to now you have completed the 10 seconds. After sending the request you get the response, and here we will find the t2, time dot performance counter. So basically if you want to know some lines of how much time some amount of code is doing, you can put these two lines and you can subtract these two values to get the exact time this line of code took. Okay, now we are going to print off time took is dot format of t2 minus t1. So we will see how much time the username and admin has been took. So it took 1.05. Let's also print the actual content to be sure that we are not getting that try again in 30 minutes message. Okay, we are getting the 30 minutes message. Now what I am going to do is we need to say headers is equals to, I am going to introduce a new header, that is x forwarded for, that is we have used in the burp suite, x forwarded for. So here what you need to do is 127.0.0.1. so this IP address will only work for 1 or 2 requests, and then this IP address also gets rate limited. Now what I am going to do is I am going to say dot format of, I am going to randomize this one. So I will explain this. Randomize, import random dot randint. There is a randint function, so you need to define lower limit and upper limit. So I can say 1, 100, and it will randomly select the number from the 1, 100. So run this multiple times and you can see we are getting the random number. So what I am going to do is dot format of random dot randint of 1, 255, because 255 is the maximum for any octet. So for every request we are sending, it will be like 137.0.0.1 or 50 or 60 or something random number. So you can also delete this 0 and you can also randomize this one. All you can do is simply copy this, put comma and paste here, put comma and paste third time, because there are 3 placeholders we are placing in the 3 octets. So that's why we are going to generate 3 random numbers and putting them in these headers. Now what I want to do is I want to include these headers in our request. I can simply say data is equals to data 2, we did not send this, and headers is equals to headers. I can say headers 2. Now if you run this, so now you can see we did not get that please try again in 30 minutes message, we got the invalid username or password. So you can see the time took is 0.89. so better run this multiple times 0.82. So 0. So it's less than 1 second. And now let's change this to the winner Peter, the correct credentials they have given for us. So if you want to brute force like in a real-time website, you need to create an account, so then you get the correct credentials. So using that you can estimate the time. So if you send this request, and so you can see it took much more time, 1.6 seconds. And if you run this, and you can see it is generally taking more than 1 second or 1.5 seconds. So you can, if you know like machine learning, you can actually build a model based on these timestamps, and you can estimate the minimum time required for the valid response to receive for us. Okay, so we know that if the username and the password combination is correct, we are getting like 1 point greater than 1.5. So this, let's use this to our advantage, and will be for in usernames. So first we need to enumerate the valid username. Okay, so let's also try this for the correct user and the wrong username. Sorry, for the correct username and the wrong password. Let's run this and see the time it takes, 0.92. So 1.12. So it's more than like 0.85. Okay, this is where we are getting some. So first let's try to brute force the usernames. If it did not work out, then we had to brute force both at a time. So that's why I don't highly recommend to depend on this method, because this method also relies on your network speed and the internet traffic. So if you say winner true and Peter 2, so it is also taking like around same time. So that's why what I can do is, you can say usernames for j in passwords. So what you can do is, you can just copy these headers and the data, so that we don't need to rewrite. So we got the randomized IP address, and we need to just simply rename this, change this to username is equals to I and password is equals to j. R is equals to request dot post of URL comma the same actual data to and headers to. So we can also say time 1 is equals to time dot performance under counter. So let's say T2. So we know that valid login took more than 1.5 seconds. So if T2 minus T1 greater than, let's say greater than or equal to 1.5, so check these credentials dot format of I comma j. Okay, we have successfully built the script. Let's go and run this. So it's gonna take time, and I did not get the correct response. I did not get the correct credentials because I got few usernames, but for them passwords they have took the same time. So that's why I could not find the right combination. And you can try this one. Okay, so it's gonna take very much time. And we got some credentials, Akamai and computer. So maybe let's go and try those. So it still says 30 minutes. So that's why we get some false positives, because we are simply basing on the time of the response. So you give it a try. So in this video we will be seeing about the username enumeration via user interface. So sometimes the user interface tells you some usernames, like if you go to the login page, and you can see instead of username there should be there may be some admin and normal password. So this type of information can be used for knowing the usernames. So press Ctrl U, and here in this we have another input tag with the name wrong user, and it is hidden. So first let's try to login admin, and it says invalid credentials. Let's look at the source code, and there is a input tag wrong user. So I don't know why web server had used the wrong user. So value is equals to admin. So the admin is what we sent, and if the value is wrong and it's saying name is equals to wrong user, so we can brute force this username, and we could filter for results that does not contain the wrong user. So maybe we can try like that. So let's try admin and admin. Capture the request, intercept on, and click on login. And you can see there are two variables, username and the wrong user. So you can see username and the wrong user is the same, admin, and password is admin. So let's send this to intruder. So here we can just, I think this is the actual one. So let's add admin, and we will be using the previous word list. So copy all the users, so let's also add this into admin. So I think I forgot about how this works. So let's try battering ram, payloads, paste, and try to start the attack. No, it's like 1:1 payload. Okay, this is the correct payload. It is sending username and the wrong user as the same thing. So let's look at the 2284, and there is one 2292, and we should not see for the length. We should see for the response that do not contain wrong user. So we need to get the pro version for such the text in this. So okay, let's close this and let's try with Python. So this is the URL we need to send, and this is the data. So let's create the username admin and wrong user admin. Count, I think we need to send this also as a string, and capital password admin. So we can read the usernames just like we did in the previous script. So I am just copying the file reading contents. So let's copy this, and now we should have usernames list with all the usernames from the file. So let's iterate for I in usernames, tab complete this, and what you need to replace is, instead of username put the I, and also at the wrong user put the I, and r is equals to request.post of URL comma data is data. Now we need to filter this request according to this input tag, that is wrong user input tag. If wrong user not in r.text, print of user found dot format of I. So I think this should work. So let's go and run this. So you can see we got the user Ansible. So let's go to our I think we close the window. Let's start this attack again. And for Ansible user we should see, let's check the response. So it says invalid credentials. Okay, and you can see here the input tag name has been changed from wrong user to valid user, that is Ansible. So that means we can mount an attack with the Ansible as a fixed user and the passwords as a variable. So from user interface you can fetch the results also. Like there will be some websites that will reveal some of the user information via this interface. We can also brute force this using the wfuzz. So copy this URL, wfuzz URL, and the data we need to send. and instead of, we need to just put the fuzz instead of username and the wrong user. Fuzz, and the word list we need to specify is top username shortlist.txt, and we need to hide the string that contains wrong user, and now hit enter. And we could see we got the result same as the from Python and the burp suite. We got the username Ansible. So that's how you enumerate if there is any user interface changes from the valid user to the invalid user. So again, in this video we will be seeing how to enumerate users based upon the message we get during the sign up. So this is a normal login page. Let's go and try for admin and admin. Now click on login and you see the message invalid username or password combination. So we cannot deduce whether the username or password is incorrect. So there is a sign up page. Let's click on sign up, and I am going to sign up a new user, that is name is admin, and password, put password. So the username is admin and the password is password. So now click on sign up and you can see account with this username already exists. So that means admin user already exists. So now you can go to the login page and you can brute force the admin password. So now we will be brute forcing this page to find other usernames as well. So let's try again admin. Now let's capture the request in burp suite and let's click on sign up, and now send this to repeater. Now we need to brute force this one, right? So copy the URL and let's first use fuff, and then we will be using Python to automate this. Fuff URL, and we need to send the data. Also the request is the post type. We need to send the data. So what parameter we need to brute force? That is this username parameter fuzz, and the word list is I am using word list names.txt. Okay, you can download this names.txt from Secrest GitHub. Now what we need to filter for the regular expression, or we need to match the regular expression. What is the text and account with this username already exists. So let's grab username already exists. So whenever there is a response with the text containing username already exists, so that means that word list, that word in the word list is the user contain. Now if you hit enter, so it's gonna take a while. Maybe we are doing something wrong. Okay, we did not get anything. Post request URL, and the data is data. Okay, we need to set this content type, otherwise it's not gonna work. So put the headers as, copy and paste this header. So you need to send this as a form, so that's why. And you can see we have few usernames. Okay, these are the usernames. You can go ahead and try to, let's try this one, co-op. So let's try to sign up, and it still says username already exists. So that means this user is already exists. So let me stop here. So we got some usernames. You can go and try to brute force the passwords. So now let's go and write the Python script for automate this. Let's call this as existing username.py. So let's import requests and URL, and data is equals to username is this one. We need to brute force this. Email and password is password, and C password, that is for confirm password. It's a password. So this is the data we need to send, and there is one header file, sorry, header, request header. So let's copy this. Headers is equals to so these are the headers, and we need to get the content right. So file descriptor, open of names.txt, and open this in the read mode, and let's say words is equals to fd.read. After that we can simply close the file. So we get the whole content as a single word. We need to split those names according to the new line. So let's say usernames is equals to words.split of new line. So after the splitting, what you need to do is we need to convert this into list so that we can iterate easily. So now what I'm going to do is, for I in usernames, so select all this content and press tab, and I'm going to iterate here. So for each request we are sending the data as username colon I. R is equal to request dot post of URL comma data is equals to data, and headers is equals to headers. Now if already exists in r.text, so r.text is the response, then what we are going to do is we are simply printing the username. I think this should do it for us. So let's go and run this. I think we are getting some false positives. Post customer sign up. So let's say username. So let's print few responses and see what we are getting. So okay, I have resetted the box. So I think we should now get the correct results. Let's also try with the FUF. Okay, I don't know why we are getting these many false positives, but we have done correctly. So once you guys give it a try on other websites, so you should get fine about these usernames. So for this vulnerable machine, we are getting so many false positives, but you give it a try on other website. So okay guys, in this video we'll be doing the timing attack to determine whether the user is valid user or invalid user. So the logic behind this attack is, so first you type the username admin and admin as username and admin as a password. So if there is the correct valid user in the database, the web application then fetches the password for this admin user and it will do the hashing of this password and checks for that hash in the database. If the both hashes match, then it will grant you the access, and if it does not, you will get the login failed message. So this process of comparing the password hashes will take place only when the admin user has been successfully validated. So that means if the database contains admin user, then it will go to the next step, that is checking the password hashes. So that hashing the password and checking them with the database will take some time. So it will take in the matter of microseconds, but still it can be useful for determining or like getting the probability of the user existence in the database. So I tried with the burp suite, but I don't know how to filter according to the time. So that's why we use the Python for this one. So let's first capture the request and admin. So this is our request. So you can send it to repeater, copy the URL, and let's import requests. So the URL is our question 3, and then let's write the data. So this is the data. So let's construct the data dictionary. User ID is admin and password is admin. So we'll be keeping the password as a constant and we'll be varying the user ID in the for loop. So I will copy the previous code that just opens the word list.txt and it will make the list containing all the usernames. So you can practice for this, making the list for 1 or 2 scripts so that you can get practice of it. So now for I in usernames, for I in usernames. So what you need to iterate for this data, so I want to replace this with the all the usernames, so I can simply put I. Now r is equals to request dot post of URL comma data is equals to data. So in order to know the time gap between two codes of line, what you can do is you can import the time module. So I googled for this, so it's time performance counter. So what this performance counter does is, it will, you can put this in the two blocks and you can subtract them to determine how much time taken by this block of code. So okay, so let's, so before you need to say t1 time dot performance counter. So this should give you some initial time, and after sending the request we should receive the response, then only we will go to the next line. T2 is equals to time dot perf underscore counter. So we can just print the difference, T2 minus T1. So we can also put the I here. So the user took this much time to validate dot format of, so the first placeholder is username, that is I comma, and the second one is the actual, this one, the actual time period, we can say T2 minus T1. So we are just printing user X took this much time to validate, so according to the time we can verify. So let's Python 3 user timing attack. So let's run this. 0.43514840. And I think it's good idea to sort this. So user Ansible 0.51, so this should be much time, and also user admin took 0.51. So you can also run this script like multiple times to get more accurate results. Okay, 0.8. Okay, I did not see that. So here you can see first time we ran, user vagrant took 0.46 because the previous request took 0.5 seconds. And here previous took 0.38 and 0.81. So that means most probably our vagrant user might exist in the database. So administrator can also exist in the database, so you can try that. So you can run like this one like multiple times to get more accuracy. So you can see user took 0.52 and this vagrant took much more time, 0.68. Also this calculating time can be affected by your network speed, because you are sending the request and waiting for the response. If your network is slow or there is any network issues, so this can take longer. So that's why I highly recommend you to run the script multiple times and get more accuracy. So that is about the user enumeration using the timing attack. So okay, in this video we will be seeing how to write a Python script to filter the passwords according to the password policy. So what exactly is this password policy? Suppose if you go to twitter.com and sign up for a new account, and you just enter the password as 123, and if you try to sign up, it says the password is not strong enough and you need to be at least enter the 8 characters minimum. So this is the password policy for the website. So the password policies are being put by every website nowadays. So that's why we need to develop the word list. We need to filter the word list according to the password policy of the website. So most common password policy for almost all the websites is password length minimum is minimum 8 and 1 at least uppercase and special character. So this is very common for almost all the websites nowadays. So we will be filtering those passwords in the word list according to these filters. So if this is the word list rockq50.txt. If I view the contents of it, and you can see here all of these passwords, most of them are less than 8 and also does not have a uppercase and does not have special characters. So of course there are only few, we are going to filter them. If you try to brute force for the user on that website, this will be very useless, because most of these are not even greater than 8. So let's go, and first before that I want to show you something. So the theory for this filtering is we need to check every alphabet in this password and whether it is uppercase or special character. Then what we are going to do is we are going to consider this as some valid password. So for that, what we need to do is import string. So the string module have one function, that is printable. So it will print all the printable ASCII characters. So you can see 0 to 10 numbers, and from 26 to 52 we have the lowercase and remaining uppercase and special characters. So now what we are going to do is we are going to say import string. So we are going to check each and every alphabet of the password in this from 0 to these special characters. So normally we can say numbers, we can write like this. So these are the numbers 0 to 9. So for lowercase, I can say lowercase is equals to string dot printable of. So we need to do the string slicing from 0 to 9. It is 9 from I think 10 to 36. Okay, this should do fine. So you can just copy this one. Sorry, 10 to 36. This gives the lowercase. So remaining uppercase is string dot printable of, starting from 36 to another 26. So that is 62. So we got the uppercase characters. Now to get the special characters, so what we can do is we can say from 62 onwards, let's say 92. So I am just taking some like 30 characters from here. So we get the, so maximum the user can put these special characters. He can't put like /t, /n, /r, etc. So these may be maximum special characters user can put in his password. So these are all the conditions we need to apply on the password list. So let's get the contents of rockq.txt. and let's say fd.read. So we are getting the content and we are closing that file descriptor. So if you print the words, you will get everything as a single variable. So we don't want that. What we need is we need to convert this into a list of words, and each word is separated by /n, that is new line. So after the new line, the next password starts. So I want to split this according to new line. Now if I print say passwords, so let's go and run this, and we can see we got all the passwords in a list. So we can easily iterate through these passwords. So let's go and do that for I in passwords. So the first condition and the must and should condition is length of the password should be at least 8 if length of 5 greater than is equals to 8. So that is the base condition. And the next condition is we should be checking for at least one uppercase and one special character. Of course, you don't need to check for lowercase because obviously there will be lowercase characters. So let's say for j in and one number, for j in numbers. So what we are going to do is we are going to iterate over these numbers and we will check whether any of this number is in the password or not. So if j in I, so that means this number is present in I, then what we need to do is we need to set some flags. Let's define those flags. Numbers underscore yes is equals to false, and next one is uppercase underscore yes is equals to false, and special underscore yes is equals to false. So why we are declaring these variables means we will be telling whether the password have this uppercase, special or numbers. So if there is a number in this password, then what we are going to do is we are going to change the value of number yes to true. So that means there is a number present in this password. So this is simply variable to tell that there is a number. In the similar case, you can for j in uppercase, so we are checking every uppercase characters, and if the uppercase is in the actual password we are checking, then what we can do is uppercase yes is equals to true. So you can simply copy this, paste this and change this to special. So change this to special yes. So what we are going to do is we are going to print this one. If numbers yes is equals to true and uppercase yes is equals to true, then what we are going to do is just simply print the password for now. So let's run this first. Okay, numbers, right? So make this a string of number, then it should do fine. Okay, sorry, we need to change these values at the end of the checking each password to false, because if the one password have all these numbers and uppercase and special, then the remaining passwords will be automatically printed, because we are not changing this to false, and this variables will be forever true. And you can see we got much less passwords. So these are the passwords that contain at least one uppercase and one number. And you can see here we have one password that contains all the special characters numbers and uppercase. So you can also add this one, and special yes is equals to true, then you get only one password. So you can also break here, because we know that there is at least one number, then you can stop checking for other numbers in the password. So this will speed up the things if you have the large word list. So the output will be the same. And some websites also impose like maximum length of the password should not exceed, let's say 15 characters. So there are some websites I have seen the password should be in between 8 and 20 or 8 and 15, etc. So you can also apply that as well. So this is the Python script. You can filter for any word list. So you can change this to rocky.txt and it will give you the same result. So you can also put the OR condition here if you want, like number case and numbers and uppercase or special. So now you can see we got much more passwords. We got even the passwords with the special characters regardless of uppercase and numbers. So you can try different operators between them, and you can reverse them. You can change interchangeable each operator and see what is the best for the password policy for that website.